Hello and welcome. It's Sean Carney, and continuing my vlog series. And we've been using CDs as a jumping off point to and I'm not really planning these at all, really just kind of riffing from the top of my head. This is very much improvised vlog. Well, I've chosen 2 releases to talk about this time, and we are in the late 90s here. The first is a little bit late for Christmas. This CD is called It's a Wrap, and it was released by Mills James Productions, which is a multimedia company here in Columbus. And the connection to the band was that our piano player, John Popovich, was a video editor at Mills James Productions. And this CD, as it says here, a holiday musical collection performed by the staff and friends of Mills James Productions. And Sean Carney and the Night Owls were very much friends. And we also, as I mentioned, our keyboard man, John Popovich, was an employee Mills James, and we also contributed to another track on this CD, and I had to look it up because I really was having a hard time remembering which tune it was. And it was God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, and we backed a young singer named Jane Ellen McCary on God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, more of a traditional tune. And the other one that we contributed was Santa's Blues, which I believe was a Roy Milton song, I believe, and a swinger. And I think it was also one that Charles Brown might have included, I believe, on his holiday recording. So this band was basically the same band as the Provisions CD. And as I mentioned on that vlog, we had done some demo recording at Mills James, and now I'm thinking we actually did 2 different sessions at Mills James. One session for this recording, and then the other session, I believe, was just on our own. I'd worked with Mills James previously on an event that must have been in about 1992 or 93, and that was at the Holiday Inn in Worthington. And it was an awards ceremony for senior African American professional artists. And we backed Christine Cottrell at that event. It was also where I met Jimmy T99 Nelson. Frida Payne was there. Whitman Mayo was there. George Kirby was there. Hank Marr was there. And that was where I learned that Hank Marr had served as musical director for George Kirby for some time. Interesting, back in the days when comedians would carry a whole band, or at least a musical director. So that's about all I got to say about this one. I wish I would have thought to include it before the holidays. And let's see here. So this was a compilation that was released in 2000. It's called Hobo Jungle. And this came about through Andy Alou, who's the proprietor owner of Silk City Records, which was the label that this came out on. This came about, the Hobo Jungle idea sort of was a good allegory for the very early presence of the blues online, with a group called the Blues L, which became the Blind Man's Blues Forum. And I don't know that those 2 things were actually connected. I may need to do some fact checking on that. But many of the same participants from the Blues L were present from the Blind Man's Blues Forum too. And I'm having a hard time remembering the time frame of those entities. But at any rate, the artists represented on this CD were all very active on the Blues L and on the BBF. Kenny Blue Ray, Robin Banks Blues Band, Barry Levinson, Roxy Perry, Son Lewis, Sean Carney, and the Night Owls Wendy DeWitt and Blues Saloon, Vedas and the Fabulous Heavyweights, Mark the Harper, Scott Perry, BC and the Blues Crew, P.W. Fenton, Lisa Oti, the Boiler House Blues Band, and Iron Man Mike Curtis. So this was again a situation where I licensed a track from my Provision CD, and that was, I believe, I'll Give It Up, which was a tune that I fronted, a Lowell Fulson swinger. You know, this was, I'm lucky this copy is still sealed. I have another copy that I've opened also. This was also, you notice here, the Blues Foundation logo. This was my first involvement with the Blues Foundation, and this was actually released in 2000, so just 3 years later, in 2003, I competed in the IBC for the first time. So this was really probably, well, certainly my first involvement with the Blues Foundation, and probably the first time I ever heard of the Blues Foundation, to be honest. So it was exciting to get to rub shoulders with some of the artists that were my contemporaries, and I was a kid, so, you know, I really looked up to all these people, and I was just getting my feet wet and just learning, really. So it was a good experience, and I have also recently reconnected with Andy through the magic of the internet, and it's really nice to reconnect after all those years. So I guess we'll say it's a wrap on this vlog. Thank you for watching. We will continue to talk about CDs, and we'll get into some very significant ones for me here in the very near future, talking about some of my first songwriting, and again, just some very significant recordings for me. I want to thank you for watching, and we will continue to do this. Thanks, folks.